The point that has been made by a number of my colleagues in relation to the vote that will come before this House on a meaningful vote on a deal from the European Union is very simple. If you look at the alternative to having that deal with the European Union, it will either be more uncertainty, more division, or it could risk no Brexit at all.
Jeremy Corbyn!
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister didn't answer the question, is this the final deal or not? The Work and Pensions Secretary says this is the deal, it's been baked. Well, it's half-baked. But other members of the Cabinet want amendments to the withdrawal agreement. The Leader of the House said last week, there is, and I quote, still the potential to improve on some of the measures. That's what I'm hoping to help with. Can the Prime Minister clarify whether last week's withdrawal agreement is the final text, or is there another text that's on its way to us?
I have to say to the right honourable gentleman that he won't get any different answers from this than he's had from me previously. The package of a deal that we are negotiating with the European Union has two parts to it. There's the leaving part, which is the withdrawal agreement, and there's a future relationship, which is what is currently continuing to be negotiated with the European Union. They go together as a package. Yes, the withdrawal agreement has been agreed in principle. The whole package will be what is brought before this House, will be what is considered at the European Union Council on Sunday, and we continue to negotiate on that future relationship to get the good deal that we believe is right for the United Kingdom, a good deal that protects jobs, protects our union and protects our security.
Jeremy Corbyn!
The Prime Minister is apparently heading off to Brussels today, but the new Brexit Secretary is another non-travelling Brexit Secretary who's apparently not going with her. I wonder if the post is now an entirely ceremonial one. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's agreement doesn't specify how much we'd have to pay to extend the transition period. Can she confirm the choice facing the country would either be the backstop or paying whatever the EU asked us to pay to prolong that transition period?
No, the right honourable gentleman is wrong on that. The choice that would be facing, if it were the case, let's just remind ourselves what we're talking about here. We're talking about the guarantee to the people of Northern Ireland that there will be no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. And the choice that we face, first of all, that is best ensured by getting the future relationship in place by the end of December 2020. In the event that that was not the case for a temporary period and an interim arrangement was in place, the choice the right honourable gentleman has set out is not the choice that would be before us. What we have, yes, there would be the backstop in the protocol, yes, there would be the extension of the implementation period, but what we have also negotiated in the withdrawal agreement is that alternative arrangements could be in place. The key is that they guarantee no hard border between Northern Ireland and Ireland.
The truth is, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's idea of taking back control of our money is to hand the EU a blank cheque, and after 2020, no rebate for the UK. Mr. Speaker, the EU's trade deal with Canada took 7 years to agree. The deal with Singapore, 8 years. The Business Secretary said this week that transition will have to be extended until the end of 2022. Outside the EU and with no leverage, does the Prime Minister think she's fooling anyone by suggesting there'll be a free trade agreement finalised by December 2020?
The future relationship that we're negotiating will set out the structure and scope of that deal that we'll be ensuring that we can negotiate in legal text once we leave the European Union. But the right honourable gentleman, I think people will have seen from his question previously to me, has shown the problem that he has with this deal. He hasn't even read it. He doesn't know what's in it. He says there's a problem with the deal and he would do it differently. He wants to renegotiate the withdrawal agreement, but as I say, he hasn't read it. He wants to oppose any deal, no matter how good it is for the UK, but he will accept any European Union deal, no matter how bad it is for the UK. And then he wants to use the implementation period that he would vote against to renegotiate the treaty that delivers the implementation period. And he said another referendum isn't an issue for today, but it could be an issue for tomorrow. He doesn't know how he'd vote, he doesn't know when it would be, he doesn't even know what the question would be. That's not leadership, that's playing party politics. I'm working in the national interest.
Mr. Speaker, it's her government that's got us into this shambles, and she knows full well, that the new European Parliament...
Order! Nobody in this chamber will be shouted down, and we've often heard it said, with high authority from the respective front benches, that that would be bad behaviour. It's happening now. Stop it, because it won't work. Jeremy Corbyn.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knows full well that with a new European Parliament in place next summer and a new European Commission at the same time, the negotiations for a future trade agreement will only have less than a year to do, and if she's to achieve what she claims she can do. In February, the Prime Minister said that creating a customs and regulatory border down the Irish Sea is something that, and I quote, no UK Prime Minister could ever agree to. Can the Prime Minister explain why the backstop agreement would create exactly that border?
Now, I have to say, the Right Honourable Gentleman, it would not create exactly that. From February until in the last few weeks, the European Union said that the only answer was a Northern Ireland customs territory only answer in relation to the guarantee to the people of Northern Ireland. We argued and we resisted and we made clear that we would not accept the position of the European Union, and a few weeks ago they agreed with our position. They conceded to the United Kingdom so that there will not be a customs border down the Irish Sea. I think this becomes even clearer that the Right Honourable Gentleman doesn't actually know what is in the withdrawal agreement, what is in the protocol and what is in the outline political declaration. We talk about a second referendum. Never mind a second referendum. He hasn't got a first clue.
Well, with the shambles this government's got into, it's a good idea. Other people are not ruling out all options. Mr. Speaker, there is an entire protocol in the withdrawal agreement setting out regulations that apply only to Northern Ireland. She clearly didn't discuss this draft agreement with the DUP because their Brexit spokesperson said, and I quote, "We are clear, we will not be voting for this humiliation." Mr. Speaker, this deal is a failure. It fails the Prime Minister's red lines, fails Labour's 6 tests, and failed to impress the new Northern Ireland Minister, who just hours before he was appointed said the deal is dead. Instead of giving confidence to the millions of people who voted both Leave and Remain, this half-baked deal fails to give any hope that can bring the country together again. Isn't it the case that Parliament will rightly reject this deal, this bad deal? And if the government can't negotiate an alternative, then they should make way for those who can and will.
The public gave us an instruction to leave the European Union, and we should all be acting to deliver that. All he wants to do is to play party politics.
Order! Mr. Kinnock, you are a cerebral denizen of the House. Gesticulation and shouting are way beneath your pay grade, man. Calm yourself and develop some sense of repose. I said the Leader of the Opposition shouldn't be shouted at. The Prime Minister should not be shouted at. Let's hear the reply. The Prime Minister.
The Right Honourable Gentleman is playing party politics. He's opposing a deal he hasn't read. He's promising a deal he can't negotiate. He's telling Leave voters one thing and Remain voters another. What Whatever the right honourable gentleman might do, I will act in the national interest.